Alright, this is going to be a personal top 5 list of the planes that I want to see in the future for War Thunder. I'll try to include planes that actually have a chance of getting in the game, so no F-22 Raptor or Eurofighter Typhoon. Okay, let's get started. The B47 Stratojet. Don't give me that look. This plane could be balanced. Now this plane makes the cutoff date as it was introduced in 1951. But I believe many people would complain about having this jet bomber in the game because of its top speed being over 600 miles an hour and the fact that it could carry 25,000 pounds of bombs, which is more than a B-29 standard payload. The B-47 broke speed records during its introduction in 1947. Sabre pilots actually had difficulty catching up to this airplane in level flight. It also used 18 rocket units to assist it in taking off.
But it also was a difficult aircraft to handle.
The B-47 was a relatively difficult plane to fly, as it had engine problems and it could not withstand G-loading. I believe this could be a way of balancing the plane by restricting its maneuverability and making it rely on its speed and turret cannons as its means of defense, and it had two 20mm autocannons as defensive turrets. I believe with some tweaking to its bomb load, this plane could be a nice, balanced addition right after the B-57B, as a heavy jet bomber sitting at 8.7 BR or higher. MiG-15s and CL-13s would be able to catch the B-47 in a dive, and it's quite a large target, having a 35-meter wingspan. Apparently this plane had the reputation of being a flying fuel tank. Gaijin could implement this into the game by making the B-47 prone to fires for the sake of balancing this plane if it comes to the future. The Me-262HG-3. Yeah, I know, this plane was never built, but still. It'd be a great addition to have to help the Germans in 7.0 to 8.0 battle ratings. It looks so damn sexy and futuristic. I don't have much to say about this one since there's so little information available on it. I'm aware the HG-2 is on the release tree, but it doesn't look all that special compared to the HG-3, which has a sleek flying wing style, which reminds me of the F9F Nighthawk. If it does get in the game, it looks like it would be an awesome boom and zoomer, and it would be way less gimmicky than the Me-262 Heimat Schützer models. The MiG-17. I don't want to upset any F-86 Sabre pilots with adding the MiG-17. I'm also an American pilot, and I love using my F-2 Sabre, but I think this plane would be a nice addition to the German and Russian tree. The MiG-17 is identical to the MiG-15 Biz, however its top speed is similar to the Hawker Hunter, and it houses the same guns as the MiG-15 Biz. It's also a bigger target than the MiG-15 because of its fuselage. It's a little bit longer. As a balancing factor, I would limit the amount of MiG-17s you can have on a single team to only 1 or 2. It does have a slightly higher climb rate than the MiG-15 Biz. The main reason I want this plane added is I feel the Russians and Germans would need a stronger plane to combat the forces of the F-2 Sabre and the upcoming Hawker Hunter for the British tree. The Gloucester Javelin. Now this plane is surprisingly well beyond the cutoff date, being introduced in 1956, but I believe it would be a fair addition to the game if it was one of the earlier variants. Obviously its air-to-air missiles would be stripped, but it would still be left with 4 30mm Aiden cannons, which are quite powerful and have a high rate of fire. The airplane would come right after the Gloucester Meteor F8 at 9.0 BR or higher. It was one of the last planes built by Gloucester if you don't count the Meteor F8 prone pilot, which kinda sucked because you couldn't see behind you. The Javelin had a low rate of climb, being somewhere around 25 meters per second. It also had a high top speed, near 700 miles an hour. It was also quite a heavy plane, weighing 24,000 pounds or 11,000 kilograms, which could give it a nice dive acceleration and energy retention. I think this plane would fit nicely in War Thunder's high jet tier matches. Alright, before I move on to number 1, I want to make a quick honorable mention to another plane, the F9F Goblin. Now I'm almost positive most of you haven't heard of this odd little egg aircraft. If you have heard of it, then you must really love experimental fighters. It was classified as a parasite fighter and was meant to disembark from its mothership, which at the time was a modified B-36 Peacemaker. The pilot of the Goblin was actually able to dock to the ship via a trapeze mechanism, although it was relatively difficult. I kind of think it'd be fun to see this plane in War Thunder as an Me-163 counterpart. Giving it an air start and putting it at a reasonable BR, I'm not sure how landing would work though. The F85 had pretty good stats. It could reach speeds of 650 miles an hour and had a climb rate of 63 meters per second, which is pretty insane. That's stepping into rocket territory. Its armament was pitiful, however. It only had 4 M3 Browning machine guns. Alright, enough dreaming, let's move on to number 1. The F9F Cougar. Every person who pilots an F9F Panther wants this plane. The F9F Panther is a bit underpowered considering its competition. I think the F9F Cougar is needed. The F9F Cougar is a swept-wing counterpart for the Panther, and as such is faster by about 60 miles an hour. It makes it more comparable to the regular MiG-15. The higher top speed and its inherent high-speed maneuverability would make this plane a force to be reckoned with. I'm not alone when I say this, but a lot of people want this plane in the game, me included. It wouldn't be overpowered and it'd be fairly competitive in high jet tier battles. Hell, the F9F Panther can destroy MiG-15s in the hands of a skilled pilot, but I would still appreciate having this plane as a top tier Navy jet for the US tree. Okay, thanks for watching, and feel free to suggest another top 5 in the comment section below.
Aboard the carrier Essex, Defense Department pictures show its mad skid across the flight deck and plunge into the sea.